I'm delighted to be joined on VRP Rocks by rock royalty again, Mr. Tony Carey. How are you,
I,
Tony?
I was sure you were the guy that wrote that. Somebody wrote rock royalty on one of these
I'm
podcasts.
sticking with it.
I'm well, Paul. Thank you.
Good to hear. It's great to have you back on VRP Rocks. We had you on last year, I think it was, and heard some of your wonderful stories. And we're getting you back on because you've been involved in more stuff. There's more remastering going on, and we're going to hear more stories from your incredible career as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's start then with Mandoki Soulmates. This is something you
Yeah.
told me about last time we spoke, and the guys are back together. Leslie's got the crew back together. A fantastic mix of people. A new album that's come out. It's really taken off. And but for people that are unaware of who the Mandoki Soulmates are. Give us a quick rundown on the band itself, how it came together, and what
Well,
it is.
I came together. Leslie Mandoki is a Hungarian refugee who came through a tunnel to through the Iron Curtain, or under it, as it were, a long time ago, like 50 years ago. And the immigrations officer, when you sneak into Germany, they ask your business, what you want to do, this and that. And he said, well, I've been in jail several times for playing subversive rock music, prog rock music from the 70s. And he says, so my goal is to play with Jack Bruce and whoever he mentioned, Ian Anderson, and this and that. And the guy, of course, laughed. He said, "Yeah, sure, kid." And that turned out to be true. And 30 years ago, Leslie started the Soulmates, which is like a musical collective. We've had 40 members, but they keep dying on us. Actually, it's a problem. We had Greg Lake, Jack Bruce, David Clayton Thomas. We have Randy Brecker, Bill Evans on saxophone, wonderful. Mike Stern, Al DiMeola. We had John Lord, Chaka Khan. We had a Spice Girl, and we have the Sporty Spice, by the way.
Oh,
She's great.
Mel. Yeah, yeah.
She's great, Mel. Yeah. And what we do is everybody tries to pretty much succeeds at checking their ego at the door, and we make music. And I've been involved for 20 of those 30 years. And we've done, I don't know how many albums there have been, but 6 or 7 or whatever. And last season's, there's a couple of years, 5 years ago, last season's album was Utopia for Realists, that based a kind of a progressive rock piece around Bela Bartok's Hungarian dances, or whatever the piece is called. Very
As you do.
challenging,
Yeah, as you do.
as one does. And that was a lot of fun. And this one is A Memory of Our Future. I had to look around. A Memory of Our Future, which is kind of it's very political. Leslie's always very political, but kind of well, we had our chance, and now it's time for you kids to step up, because we thought, when I say we, I mean people my age, we thought that music would change the world. Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco scene, peace and love, Woodstock. And here we are, the old boomers, and everything's all fucked up and worse than it ever was. And Leslie reflects on that at length in this album. There's a couple of 11-minute songs, and these are just the best players. Corey Henry, I told you before, I'm having some trouble with my finger, and on this hand I got some carpal tunnel. The fingers are numb. I'm singing lead, a lot of the leads, and so we got Corey Henry in, who is the world's best Hammond organ player, and takes a big part in several of the songs. And he's a gas to play with. He's young. He's 31 or 32. I'll be 71, and this is this generational thing, and we find people and they come in and keep the tradition going. So now I'm rehearsing we're doing two big open airs. We're doing one in Munich and then one in Budapest. With the one in Budapest we do every year. It's about 60,000 people.
Wow.
It's on their national holiday. And we're doing way too much rehearsing, I would say, except that this is really complicated music. We're going to rehearse for 12 days. And then for the two shows. I don't know what else to tell you. It's a great band. Greg Lake called it the best band in the world.
Oh, well, you can't argue with Greg, can you? Absolutely.
No, he was great, but then they disappear on us, and we keep we're getting down to the hardcore here.
That's it. On this series, as you call it, we've got a few people that I've spoken to. Like you said, Jethro Tull, Ian Anderson. There's Nick Van Eede from Cutting Crew, John Helliwell from Supertramp, Simon Phillips, brilliant drummer as well, has worked with Toto and everyone, to be honest with you.
The Who. Simon played with the fucking Who.
He did, yes. Pete Townshend's mate. Been some incredible people over the years. You did say that everyone checks their ego at the door, which is always good to hear. So what is it like? Does everyone kind of come in and just kind of get on, or how does that work when you've got such big characters around?
Well, we're buddies, and the best way to explain it. In fact, Leslie even had a T-shirt made. The band of band leaders. Everybody in the band is a band leader. Yeah. Everybody goes out under their own name and works, plays shows all over the world. And there's just between 12 and 17 band leaders on stage. And as a band leader, it's not like being I don't know, you play bass for somebody for your whole life. This is, everybody has a pretty clear idea of how to make a show like that run and smoothly and the rehearsal smoothly and give everybody a chance. And we're so diverse, I don't really belong to the jazz world, but Al Di Meola is not really a rocker, and we get this unusual balance. And we have Richard Bona, who's an amazing bass player. And he brings absolutely the soul of East Africa. He's from Cameroon, and sings like an angel. Plays along with himself on bass. He's a lot like Jaco Pastorius was. He's very, very nimble and intelligent and everything. We have a sitar player who's voted the best sitar player in India, which means he's the best sitar player anywhere. So this is all wild. You come into the Soulmates vibe and everything changes for the 2 weeks. It's just great.
It does sound wonderful. In terms of the record itself, then you mentioned A Memory of Our Future. It was recorded and produced kind of purely analog as well, wasn't it? So,
pretty much.
So what was the reason behind that?
Well, I'm cynical. I'm an engineer myself. So I'm a little cynical about this. But there's one school of thought that thinks that digital will never sound as, let's use warm as an adjective, as analog. And but the workflow is what's so different, because you have to make choices. Now, I'm going to get nerdy here. These days, people record on digital workstations, like everybody, literally everybody. Where if you want to have 1,000 tracks, they're there for you. And if you're using a 24-track machine, and sometimes 2 of them at the same time, they have to sync to, like, the 48 tracks, you have to make choices. I mean, I've seen mixing sessions of pop records these days that have 6 different hi-hats on 6 different tracks, and we'll fix it in the mix, you know what I mean? Like the philosophy seems to be we'll make the record in post-production. Whereas in the analog world, you make the record in the production, because it comes back and bites you in the ass. It's not we'll fix it in the mix. Like it never was, but that used to be a thing that we'd say is we'll fix it in the mix.
Absolutely.
There are 2 reasons. Paul, excuse me. There are 2 reasons. This is once again about the workflow. There are 2 reasons now that razor blades are in recording studios. Think about it. So.
That's it. In terms of the tracks itself, then, as you said, you sing lead vocals on a lot of them. If I'm going to be honest, my favorite song is Devil's Encyclopedia. I'd love it. It's got a fantastic groove to it. The whole line as well as its social media becomes the Devil's Encyclopedia. It's a wonderful track. I mean, tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, first of all, it's all tulled up. It features Ian, and it sounds just like Jethro Tull. And I mean, he's playing so well these days, and he's not young, and he's got that Tull unique Ian Anderson flute thing, and that's the lead instrument, and that's like, wow, you know, like a time capsule. Go back to the late '60s. I saw Tull in '68, I think, somewhere. And yeah, well, I mean, I don't have a smartphone myself. We've talked about this, me and you, but I have a little Nokia, like the old school thing. So I'm not like a WhatsApper or a TikToker or anything like that. You know, if I use a phone to make a phone call or send a SMS, which I'm delighted with that you can do that. So social media is so full of destructive disinformation and destructive role models. What's a kid supposed to think? And you see these kids everywhere with it, or anybody, not just kids, and they're just getting too much information at too fast a rate. They can't absorb it. So the attention span of the smartphone generation has shortened to the point where people can't enjoy a song, music. Music has lost its value, actually. Remember the days when you heard that Led Zeppelin was going to release an album? Maybe you're a little young for that, but that Nirvana was going to release an album, or Oasis was going to release an album, and there's all this excitement, and maybe you see an interview here and some pictures here, and there's all this tension and everything. With social media, everything's there all the time, instantly, and it takes all of the glamour, mystique out of the appreciation. And now you can go to Spotify basically for free. They've got 100 million songs. There's what's the music actually worth if it costs you nothing? It's effortless. You don't have to save up your allowance as a kid to go buy the new Jimi Hendrix record, which I did, you know. So I don't want to sound like an old man yelling at clouds. I mean, I'm actually very technically minded. I mean, you know, I spend a lot of time on the computer and I engineer my own records and all that. But social media is like a bug in my, it's a hair across my ass, as we say.
It's called doom scrolling for a reason. Absolutely.
I didn't know it was called it. Great.
Yeah, doom scrolling. That's it. Yeah. And the record itself is getting some brilliant reviews. It's getting a lot of traction in America as well. Obviously, Mandoki Soulmates are big across Europe, so it's nice finally to get some proper recognition over there.
Unbelievable, and we're so pleased about that. And I got to say that Leslie has worked so hard. He's my age, and he's got 4 times my energy. I can't believe how hard he's worked. He's always in New York. He's got 10 things going on every single day. I mean, I was just in Sweden for a week because it was too warm here. I just took my wife and we went to just do nothing for a week except look at the ocean. But Leslie doesn't do that. He's working and working. And the resonance that we're getting from America, I'm reading like album of the year and stuff like that from not the usual folks that review Mandoki Soulmates records. So not wood.
Indeed. And it's out now. It's called A Memory of Our Future. You can get it on all the usual places, but I recommend you get it on the wonderful vinyl as well. There's some wonderful vinyl packages out there, so get your hands on that if you can.
Ain't that pretty?
Go and get it. Sorry?
Ain't that pretty, the package?
It is, very much so.
Beautiful booklet and beautiful, just the color, the design, everything, and this really heavy black vinyl is gorgeous. I will admit that I don't have a record player, and I don't have a CD player. I listen to everything on files, but it's a piece of art, the actual produced product.
See, I'll tell you
Whatever,
something.
what?
My 11-year-old son has a record player. He does what you were saying earlier. He saves his pocket money and he goes and buys a
Yeah.
vinyl every Saturday from the shop we've got on the local high street. He goes
Oh,
every
that's great that you still have one.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
loves it when he comes in. He always gives him a discount. It's just one of those little.
It's-
It's not a
it-
national chain or anything like that. It's just a one-man guy who sorts it out. So, yeah, nice
a
stuff.
brick and mortar record store.
That's it. It's so nice
That,
to stand and flick through them all, even
oh
now.
hell yes! Like it's a dying species.
It is, sadly,
Yeah.
sadly. So that is Mandoki Soulmates. As I said, the album is out now. I recommend everyone go and get a hold of it. Wonderful people involved with it, such as rock royalty Tony Carey and everyone else that we've listed above as
You're not
well.
going to forget that, are you? Okay.
Definitely not.